Hello, everyone. This is Wojciech, and I would like to welcome you to another episode of Audio Startups. So, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. Hey, Tomasz.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
Good.
Ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Yes, born ready, right? All right, everyone. So, this episode is the topic of today's episode of Audio Startups is organizing manufacturing in hardware startup, right? So Tomasz will share his experience when he was building Zilia microphone company, so hardware, microphone, and software. But obviously, I will not speak a lot. Tomasz will actually introduce, and you probably know Tomasz from the previous episode as well. But we cover the subject because we talk to many startups and we see the same problem that we as the startup funders had, some over optimism, maybe not looking carefully at the future challenges. And in hardware startup, as you can imagine, and building hardware products, actually preparing the production can be really challenging. So I'm not going to talk more context. Tomasz will introduce this. I just wanted to say before we start. I can see already the question. Yes. So yes, session is recorded. So whoever is not will not be able to see. You can always watch it later. It's on YouTube, on LinkedIn. We can also send the link once you give us your email. But so first of all, what I would like to ask is what place, what country you are just watching from. So if you could just type it on in the comments, we'll know that you can hear us and you can see us. Oh, wonderful. Yeah, okay. Great. Where are you from, guys? Okay, we'll see. Just probably there must be a delay between comments and us, but we can see there are just comments, so it means that people can hear us. So the Denmark. Hello, Denmark. Germany. Close to Poland. Oh, yes, of course. Yes. Hello, neighbors. To Denmark is not so far away either. Another Denmark. Yes, good. So one organizational remark. Will not answer France. Oh, bonsoir. Ça va? I used to study in France. So they will actually have a discussion. Tomasz will tell the story and what kind of lessons he learned. Will not address comments. Oh, Poland as well. Great. Hello. Hi. Cześć. There will be like a subject. We'll just discuss the subject. There will be like a quarter, like 15 minutes in the end for question and answer. So we'll not address questions and answers in the meantime, but you can post it. We can see them. We just don't want to, we want to actually cover all the subjects or topics that we find interesting or necessary. And we'll just try to answer any questions at the end. If there'll be more questions, or we simply got carried away, which happens sometimes to us. We love to discuss, and there is like an interesting subject. So of course we'll try to address them, either in the comments or in the private chat. If you have any questions that you feel that haven't been addressed, you can also reach out to us and we'll try. So with this said, I want to once again, introduce to you Tomasz, who is the co-founder of Zilia and co-founder of My3D Audio, seasoned audio professional and entrepreneur, and one, as like mentioned, Tomasz. I mean, you introduce.
Okay, thank you so much, Wojtek. Yes. So maybe I just say, okay, why I have the, let's say, authority to talk about this topic. So actually, I built a company which is called Zilia. So this is it produces that kind of microphones. So this is a device that have 19 microphones inside, and it's pretty complicated device because it's it's a sphere. It has plenty of PCB boards inside, and at the end you have to stream to computer 20 channels or even more, sometimes over the USB connection. So that's, it's really complicated hardware. So I was managed to, together with my team, to first have like very successful Indiegogo campaign to gather the money and raise the money for the production, and then we did the production. And I have to say that at the beginning, when it is my first hardware product that I ever, that I introduced to the market. Yeah, so that's first product. So I before, I read a lot about this. I know a lot about this, but actually, on my example, you can see that this is possible even if you didn't do this before. Yeah. So maybe I just
I think it's and also I think we already discussed this. I mean, at the beginning, but we can see. I mean, I had myself, although a software startup, but still, I remember that people can very easily get, when you are in the beginning, you can be excited so much about the product that sometimes you may not want to listen because you find some, remarks or some advice by people who were there before. It's not going. I mean, I were there before, and also like a overconfidence. I mean, I know that people who already built a couple of companies sometimes failed with some companies. They have this modesty, right? Or they know that can be wrong, and they just, more eager to listen to. Now, I'm not going to say smarter people, but people who have this certain experience, right? So better to learn on somebody else's mistakes than on your own, right? So I think this is also so great, Tomasz, right? That the subject is.
Yeah, and also, like according to statistics, the failure rate of hardware startups is actually twice higher than software startups. So this is really challenging market. And so actually, what we'll talk about today is we assume that you have a prototype, yeah, or that's the input for this webinar, that we will not cover the prototyping phase. We have a prototype. The prototype look like your final product. So let's say it looked like this, yeah. And then the only thing that you have to do is to manufacture. If you just finalize the crowdfunding campaign or maybe sign an agreement with the distributor, so you more or less know what is the volume of the devices that you have to manufacture. And it can sound really easy, because you have a prototype, so you go to, I don't know, factory and tell them, okay, please manufacture this in, I don't know, thousands of pieces, yeah. But frankly speaking, okay, change the slide. This is just the beginning, and here's a slide of, let's say, the device that once we start prototyping, and we have a prototype that was fully functional, and then we have like around, I don't know, probably around 20 different prototypes where we change the size and so on. And actually, those prototypes were adjusted for the manufacturing. So we talk with the factory, we talk with the designers, and they change the design to adjust it to the manufacturing line. Yeah. So if you think that the prototype that you have, I don't know, 5 pieces maybe, that's the end. So actually that's the beginning. Yeah. And also,
Tomasz, so let me stop here and ask you the question. So would you be able to just so understand, we have a prototype, right? And now you have commitment, for example, on their Kickstarter campaign, we have to create like 100 or 200, 500. So would you be able to break down like a preparation? So before you actually do the manufacturing, you are in the factory, blah, 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 like a creative checklist of things that you should do, to actually, be prepared for the manufacturing. I know it's probably each point will be like a project of its own, yeah, but what you should look at
for preparing for manufacturing, right?
Yes. Before manufacturing itself, what would you do first?
Okay, so actually I have it on the next slide. So maybe so that's the topics that we would like to discuss. So actually, this preparation for manufacturing is the most important part, and it takes a lot of time. This is like adjusting the prototypes, but also you have to check, okay, do I have the electronic certification. Did I register my USB or Wi-Fi or whatever device in the like the big library? Because for example, if you have a USB, then this USB chip have its own unique number, and this number have to be assigned to your company, and then you have to add this device, add this USB device to the specific library or association that register all of these devices. Yeah. Then you have to think, okay, is it my price? Okay, or the cost of the manufacturing is really right for the retail price that I would like to have. Yeah. So that's very often the mistake that people. Yeah.
Let me ask you a question here. So are you saying that we should think what should be the target price, so then we can actually look for a manufacturer that will actually fit our pricing strategy? That's what you're saying. So we can actually secure certain margins.
Yeah. So that's the challenge that, or maybe surprise that many first-time hardware startup founders notice that okay, you have your prototype, or even maybe you have a first quotation, and that the one unit will cost you $100 dollars if you manufactured 1,000 pieces. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then okay, so if you think okay, 100 is the manufacturing cost, so I will sell it for 110, and 10 is my margin. Yeah. So actually, this is totally wrong assumption, because actually you have to take into account a lot of hidden cost of distributing your product. So one of the cost is the biggest cost actually is the cost of the retail price or distributors. So it's between 30 to even 80% of the retail price. So you can imagine if you have a product that the retail price is 100, so some US distributors take 80% margin just for distributing your product. So you're
saying that your manufacturing cost should be like $20 in this case for you to have actually like a business plan that somehow can survive really, that like a.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe this is like a very corner use case, but usually for the retailers it's like a 30% margin, and for the distributors it's around 50% margin. Yeah. So but this is not the end of the cost. Yeah. So the rule of thumb is that you have to multiply the cost of manufacturing by 5, and this is your minimum retail price. Yeah. So if you manufacturing for 100, then your retail price should be like 500 in order to fit all of the costs. Yeah.
Yes, running the company, etc., etc.
That's actually amazing. No, not running the company. Not running the company. The hidden cost is like.
But there is. Okay, so explain. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm just talking about the cost of distributing the product. So you have to cover the hidden
cost. It's not all the hidden cost, right? So you have production, you have distribution, but of course, company doesn't just live by sales and production, right? There is probably more cost, right? So how does it?
Yeah. But the cost of the company, let's say, I will put it away, and this is okay. You will cover it from your income, yeah. But if we talk only about the cost of sales, of cost of distribution, so you have the cost of retailers, cost of logistics, yeah. Because you have to pay for the warehousing, for the system that connect you to your CRM system or e-commerce or whatever. You have also the cost of payment, like if you Stripe, so it's probably from 0.5% to 1%. So actually there is like a lot of costs, yeah. So just as I mentioned, so the rule of thumb is just you have to multiply the cost of manufacturing by 5, and then I would say that this is like a golden rule. Yeah.
So if I can step again, we are just, maybe I can just give like small context, right? Because with Tomasz and a few other colleagues, we run Venture Studio, my 3D Audio, which actually helps startups to go to global markets, and we talk to we simply do some scouting, try to find startups we can invest into, and being funders before, we see some, we'd speak and I can see, we haven't yet thought about pricing, or we want to have the highest quality, right? But can you, and we started asking these questions around budget margins, etc. People just, just like, it's like a scary topic, right? That was like a kind of, so that's why I like the subject of this webinar so much, right? Because it covers things that, you cannot just think about it later, right? And if you have to actually know from the very beginning what target group you reach to, so what kind of price you can put, whether you can actually accumulate, find the space to all your costs, then to produce and still actually get some margins, right? And actually make some profit.
Yeah, so that's,
a company, but actually mean survive, right? Early stage.
Yeah, so it's really tricky, and I'm talking about the pricing because it's the most important part, because then you are not able to fix it, and changing the price like 3 times, increasing the price 3 times is sometimes not possible. And but before we even go to price optimization, so there is also another step that you have to maybe not manufacturing cost optimization. There is another thing which it's called CEs or FCC certification. So actually, this is the in order to sell products in everywhere, actually, like for example, if you like to sell the product in Europe, you have to have the CE certification. If you like to sell it in US, then you have the FCC, and actually it goes on to the different countries. And what does it mean? That it means that your product must fit the specific conditions related to electromagnetic emission, and also some other safety electrical issues. Yeah.
So I think so what's actually being done? So you have to give it to the lab. They actually check it and give you the certificate to you, right?
Yeah. So actually, so it looks like that all of the electronic devices, they emit the electromagnetic field. And there is some, it can be, sometimes the electromagnetic field can be too big for use, I don't know, for children or for hospitals or whatever. So that's why we have some dedicated norms. Yeah. So in order to check if your device is safe actually for this certification, then you have to go to some certified EMC lab. And usually this is really, if you look for that kind of company, so it's usually very costly process, like 100, but tens of thousands of euro or US dollars per preparing the whole measurements and so on. But actually there are some, but also why I'm talking about this, because let's say that you had your finalized electronics, mechanics, and everything. And then you go to this laboratory, and it occurred that you have like a huge emission of electromagnetic fields. So what does it mean for you? It means that you have to somehow fix it, and fix it means that that sometimes it's easy, but sometimes you need to redesign completely the PCB boards or even the mechanics or many different elements. Yeah? So I will not go deeply into that topic, but I'm just saying. But in order, if you don't,
I think everybody understands the consequences, right? So if you actually start manufacturing, or you want to actually start manufacturing, and then actually realize that you have to redesign, then actually it's just you're going through the manufacturing planning again, right? So you need to actually be sure that actually what's actually designed is actually going to pass the certification before you give it to an actual plan.
Yeah, and actually what can go wrong is that if you don't have the CE or FCC or mark on your product, then and you like to sell it in country that require it, then your product will be destroyed. Yeah, so that's on the customs. Yeah, so this is really, really important. But maybe I'll just very quickly one hint or tip that you can do in almost every bigger city there is like a university or probably or small companies that do this EMC tests for not very high amount of money. So it's just enough to go there and just do the measurement, and at least you know, okay, what is the problem, yeah, and then you can fix it. So this is really important stuff before you even start up, optimizing the cost of PCB mechanics and so on, yeah. And probably not many people think about that during the prototyping phase.
Oh yes, we heard that. Yes. Later or.
Yeah, okay, so let's go to this optimization cost for manufacturing. So actually, okay, if you fix everything, like what the target price is, and you fix those EMC problems, then actually how to optimize the cost. And very often people think that, okay, if I have a quotation for 100 pieces, which is, I don't know, X, then if I order 1,000, then the cost will be around 2 times smaller. And again, this is really wrong thinking, and usually the price may be decreased like 10% or something. So you have actually two options to. I think that the most important options to decrease the price of the manufacturing. Yeah, if we talk about electronics or even not electronics, then we can use the Pareto method. So 80% or 20% of components do the 80% of the cost. So it's just enough to find the 20% components. Sometimes, if we talk about electronics, it's even like single chip. Yeah, that's probably the most expensive. And then you can think, okay, maybe if it's possible to replace it, maybe you can agree with the manufacturer of this chip that you will somehow write a contract and they will give you like a special price, which is possible if you are a startup. And so that's one option, yeah. And very often, this method it like reduce like the cost by half just with the first iteration. And the other thing is negotiation of the prices, and this is something that people maybe also are not aware, because you can negotiate the prices on many different levels, and during the negotiations you can also decrease the prices even by half, because with the electronic components especially there are huge margins for this, but you can talk directly to the manufacturer of the components. You can talk to the distributors like, I don't know, Avnet and similar. And also you can discuss these prices with the PCBA manufacturers, yeah, because they like around 30% of the cost of the PCBA is the cost of just the service. Yeah, so this is also something that you can negotiate, and don't afraid, just ask, okay, can I decrease the prices and so on, yeah. So the cost is really important if you have that kind of issue, yeah. Maybe another thing that is also important during the preparation. Okay, where is my presentation?
Tomek, before we go further, I have a question,
Yeah.
because I remember we discussed this, especially that I had the issue recently like this with the lead times, and actually especially after COVID, we hit the wall with the supply chain, right? And actually shortage of chips and components. I'm actually waiting for, I don't want to sort of roast the company publicly, but I have an experience. I mean, we know this with cars probably everywhere. I'm not sure if in maybe people can write in comments if you experience the same problems with like buying a car nowadays. But I mean, even with audio, I was looking for a controller and some specific type of controller, and I was it's actually a year have passed since I ordered it this month, right? and they promised maybe next month, and actually they have went into some quality issues with a specific component, and it's just like an innuendo. Yeah. So how about protecting yourself? At the early stage, I understand that this is where you prepare the bill of materials, right? So all the components. This is or earlier. When
Yeah, I think that you have to do this much earlier. So in project management, we have something like a critical path, and I think that you have to design or define this critical path in order related to lead time for manufacturing, actually for manufacturing, but also for getting the components. And when I was
Tomek, once again, sorry that I'm constantly interrupting you, but I think you mentioned, I mean, I'm not sure if everyone here is actually who are listening us are experienced in project management, for example, being engineer. We should probably, but I just wanted to be sure that we're on the same page. So critical path, I think you know what it is. So like in project management, it's like when you actually design like a step-by-step, task by task, or maybe some work, can be done simultaneously, right? So for example, we order stuff and we do this, we do certification. So there are tasks that cannot be omitted. So when they actually get delayed, then entire project gets delayed, right? Because they actually are on the specific path that cannot be done in parallel, right? So what you are saying is that we should actually create the critical path at the very beginning and see what are these critical tasks that can delay development of the entire
project. That's a huge challenge with the manufacturing, because very often the lead time for component can be not 3-4 weeks, but even 12 months, or even sometimes more. And and then so you have to understand when to order this component, even if you don't need it today or in half a year. So you have to order it today, because then you will have a problem. Yeah. So when I was in like a work at the incubator or accelerator in Denmark, so one of the advisor told me that at the very beginning, just buy all of the cheapest components. I know this is like a counterintuitive, but imagine that you have like a month to manufacturing, and then that's something that costs you nothing, sometimes almost zero, is not accessible. And so so the lead times, so the lead times of the components are really super important thing, and you have to have somebody that just create all of this schedules for ordering the parts, and that's all.
I challenge you with this, Tomek, because I know we're just coming a little bit to project management and generally product development. If I can add something from myself, it was actually more in the chemical business, because I'm into product management for many years, did products in many different domains. There is something called stage gate, where actually you have a project schedule which is like a broken down. I know that every day everyone talks about agile nowadays, etc. But there is actually, I think, I can write it in comments later for everyone to remember, where is actually you make a special gate, quality gate, before you go to the next stage, for example, into production, from prototyping to production, and you make it like a checklist of things. For example, did we check this? Do we have any actually critical components missing? Maybe also, I think we discussed this, Tomasz, right? This was before the webinar. So it's like, for example, is there any components that are not irreplaceable, right? So there is like a one manufacturer, right, that produces it, right? Because I think this is also like a risk for the product. What if this, for example, producer goes out of business, right? And you actually have no actually.
So that's a huge problem. But actually, if you rely on a component that is just the only one of its kind in the market. So I think that one of the best design that I saw is Amazon Eco, because they have very few components, the mechanical and electrical, and so if you optimize also, so I also recommend to just use as low as possible the number of components, any number of components that you have, because the more components, then the bigger program with this lead times and accessibility you will have.
Every stupid person can do something complicated, but you have to be very smart to do something simple, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, I think that what is also very important that's if you are at the prototype phase, usually you are working with very talented designers that then they can like mechanical designers that they can produce anything or design anything. And sometimes this is a curse because if you do a manufacturing, you should build your product from the part that you can buy on the market, because then the let's say you can buy some parts for like pennies, but if you have to have like a dedicated part, then always you have to make a tooling, like a tools that you have to use to manufacture that part, and then the cost of this part will be like at least 1,000 times higher, than you buy it on the market. So this is also very important to just check and talk with the designer at the mechanical phase of creating the product. Okay. Maybe something. Yeah.
Fantastic. Sorry, I'm just looking. Also, as usual, we have a great discussion and so many points. Actually, I'm taking points so we can actually make great bullets later. Like a checklist for people. But I can see also that we're just lagging behind. So we
okay.
have like
maybe I'll just say one thing about this. Okay, let's keep the testers. How to choose CMS manufacturer. You have to go to probably to visit a lot of them before you make a decision, and so it's not possible to make a decision to work with somebody just looking at the website. And you also have to be aware that those manufacturers have a different specialization. So if somebody is able to do everything from electronics to mechanical and so on, and final assembly, then probably they are the most expensive. But also this is about the volume. If you go to a bigger manufacturer, then you tell them, okay, I'm just starting, and could you manufacture like 1,000 pieces for me? So they will never talk with you. So at the very beginning, you have to find like the specialized, dedicated EMS services. So I really recommend Poland for that, because there is like more than 100 factories or EMSs, like they do different stuff. Yeah, so that's the
about China and about China.
Very quick. The China of course is very good choice, but then you have to go there and visit the same like in your country, visit the factories.
You're saying don't do it remotely, go there. That's what you're saying.
You have to go there, and actually you have to sleep in the factory during the manufacturing. Because the workers will ask you about everything, and my experience is that if you do manufacturing in Europe, they usually follow the design. But if you do manufacturing in China, then try to do a lot of improvements. So if you don't manage them, don't look them on their hands, so they can manufacture the totally different product. So you have to be really careful. I'm not saying that this is wrong. They're really great. They can find solutions for like the nightmare problems and so on. But they over-engineer, or they're too innovative, I would say, in terms of the manufacturing. That's my experience.
Interesting. You see, that's actually interesting what you're saying, because if you go there and you actually have, like I know, just I rush, and at the same time I keep asking questions, but I remember you're saying that you have like multiple manufacturers for different components, so it means that you're just coordinating all these manufacturers at the same time, right? This may be like a huge project. And what actually strikes me is also like a lot of cost, right? Because if you, for example, in Europe or in US, and you produce in China and you are a startup and you have to go there, it's probably like a hell of the money, right? And hell of the you have to be constantly traveling. You know, I think this is also like something that we need to talking about pricing, right? Foresee that hidden cost.
Yeah, that's why the manufacturing is really expensive stuff. Yeah, because you need to fill the warehouse and also the cost of travel. There is like a lot of hidden costs that you don't have if you build like a software product. But at the end it's really rewarding because you have something physical or nice looking, and yeah, this is okay. So maybe let's go to the next topic. Okay, so we are prepared for the manufacturing. We have the final BOM, and we choose the the partners who do the manufacturing and so on, so on. So what should you do during the manufacturing? Okay, you know what is the time of each of the when the manufacturing will happen. So what I would really recommend is to do this manufacturing at least in 2 phases. So one is like a prototype manufacturing, and the second one is this final manufacturing. So the prototype is like you manufacture, I don't know, 10-20% of the target batch of devices. I don't know, maybe 100 devices. The more the better, but it's also according to your budget. And during this manufacturing phase, you will see, what kind of problems people have, especially during this final assembly stage. So final assembly, when people, take the different parts and put this together, and usually this part is really tricky and is it's very hard to estimate the cost of final assembly, because manufacturing of PCB is done fully automatic, but the assembling of the device assembly is factories usually do this, that they measure the time and they charge you according to the time that the workers spend on the assembly. So the less complicated product, then you will pay less. And this is also like a hidden cost of let's say manufacturing. The next cost is, if your design is weak and maybe you don't have a good testers, then your devices will be repaired during the manufacturing process, and then you will pay even more because the reparation process will be made by engineers and not workers on the assembly line. Yeah. So
how to overcome this? How to go around this?
So you have to work with the factory. So you have to be there and observe the people. And after, actually, it looks like that on every step, or maybe during the day when they manufacture this first batch, every 10 pieces, they give you a report. What is correct, what is not correct. And usually at the end of the day, they give you like a full list what should be corrected. Yeah, and so after this, you have to take the list and adjust the design. Usually, as I mentioned, this is the challenge with the mechanical parts, because then the final assembly is problematic. But one thing that people maybe also didn't take into account. The PCB is also a mechanical part. So if you have to fit your PCB into some other mechanical part, and you didn't take into account, the thickness of this PCB, then it can be really then it is also something that you will have to change, adjust, and adjusting PCBs. Once you manufacture them, this is probably sometimes it's even not possible. Yeah, so because of the cost. Yeah, so actually after this prototyping phase, or this initial phase, you have to adjust your product, and then it can take depending on the problem. Yeah,
you just mentioned something about designing tests, right? Some like a automated or some algorithm that can detect stuff, right?
Yeah. So this is something that I skipped before. So it's very good to have as much as possible different automated testers, and nobody will design these testers. You have to design this on your own because you are the only person that know how the product works and what are the problems. So maybe
can you give an example? Can you give an example?
So one of the easiest example is the PCB testers. So the testers that check if there are any problem on this wires circuits. Okay, maybe those testers can be easily implemented by some third parties, but you have to also tell which places on this PCB are the most important. So where the needle are put. The other tester is, I think, which is very important depending on the product that you're doing. But for example, for the microphone and very complicated, like high quality microphone that we did, so we have a black box test that was at the very end. So before the worker put the microphone to the box, to the final, let's say, packaging, they do one additional test that mimic the recording process during the when the customer take the microphone and I don't start recording a music session. So we actually emulate this in the small box, and inside the box was like the box itself was much more complicated than the device that we manufacture, because there was like a lot of electronics, a lot of DSP algorithms, and so on and so on. But at the end, we are able to detect that some microphone or PCBs have the wrong angle.
One of the capsules in the okay. So how long? How long does this test take? So when you just take it off the assembly, and how long it has to be put in the box in order to run the test?
So at the beginning it take around 1 hour for one microphone. And you imagine that you manufacture thousands, and because we just wasn't aware. Okay, we were thinking that maybe we put a lot of those boxes, and then it occurred that it's not possible. And so we have to redesign the algorithms inside this black box testing, and then the final test was at around 30 seconds. Yeah. So but this is you pay for the time. Yeah. You pay for the components, but you also pay for the service, and service is like a skill plus time. Yeah. And so the easier is the assembly of the product and testing, then the better. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So maybe also we check a little bit the quality control, communication. Yeah. Communication is like a key, and you have to communicate with the factory during this preparation phase, like I don't know, every two days or something like this, to ask them how they do how everything is going. The challenge is also with the with the culture differences. Yeah. And so for me it was a surprise that Chinese people, they don't say no. So if there was an issue, so it was really hard to get the information what is the issue. So because they and that was a huge problem, especially if you are doing this remotely. Yeah. So actually the best way is just to go to the factory and spend some time even during this preparation phase. Okay.
Tomek, we're like 5 remaining minutes. I think we should be. I just wanted to also touch base because there are comments coming. We know they are there. Comments, questions. So we'll just touch them in a second, right, and try to answer them all. That's why Tomek will need to.
So maybe we just skip to the. Maybe I'll just check what can go wrong at this phase. Okay, let's go to. Okay, and you manufacture everything, and you have it in the all of your devices in the boxes in the warehouse, in the factory, whatever it is. And so actually the first challenge that you will notice is, okay, you have the warehouse in the factory, but then you have to transport it somehow somewhere, and depending when you store your devices, then you will pay different taxes and customs for it. So you can actually pay taxes, or depending where the product was designed, where was it made or assembled, or made, and then where it was assembled. Yeah, so you have to pay a lot of attention here to how this flow of the logistic is done, especially today when we have a war between China and US. So if you would like to move your products from China to US just after manufacturing, so you'll pay like a huge taxes. I don't know, 10 or 15%. I don't remember exactly, but this is like a lot.
Tomek, so the question here: so what would you be your recommendation? So like a because so assemble someplace else, or is there like a one advice that you can say here, or just complicated just to say this?
Well, actually, what is really matter in terms of taxes is where the product was assembled. Yeah. So one of the trick, if you know where you have the lowest taxes, let's say, I don't know which country from which country you should, let's say, originally deliver the product. So you can manufacture, for example, all of the parts in China, then move all of the parts, I don't know, to France, and do the final assembly here. Yeah, and
so
then
will it be like a made in France then on the
yes,
box?
then it will be made in France. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the trick. Okay, you also be really careful here, yeah, because maybe the customer will need like some proof of it from you, but usually this is like you should talk to your tax advisor, but usually this is like just enough, yeah. But this is not easy. Also, like work around, because packing all of the components and moving it to to Europe is also very complicated, costly, and so on and so on. So you have to just calculate the cost. So as you can see, actually, when we do the manufacturing, so we have like let's say manufacturing department, and we have like two different small departments inside. So first one was preparation for manufacturing, and the second manufacturing, because the preparation is super important. All of this planning and so on and so on. And you have it in this way, yeah. So okay.
I know there is retailer distributors. I think is more about sales, and we cover this a lot in the preparation, right? Talking about prices, etc. So, Tomasz, how about there is actually many questions. So, how about you address them?
Okay.
Like 10 remaining minutes. 10 remaining minutes. So it could be good, maybe to read them. So let me just display. Yes, can you recommend software to keep track of this critical path management, supply chain, etc.?
There is like a lot of tools that act like a Gantt charts, and in my opinion, this is just enough, because they will immediately tell you.
Right, for startup, I think you're saying for startup, because there are big companies manufacturing using the product lifecycle management, right? PLM softwares, right? But I think these are mainly, I know that Siemens have their own. There's SAP.
Yes, they have, but usually this is like a very complicated system. I also know that, for example, SolidWorks, this is the CAD program, that they also have like a dedicated module for BOM. Yeah, actually, the versioning of the BOM, this is also something really critical. Yeah, I didn't talk about this, but okay, there is a software, I think it's called OpenBOM. I just check this.
Tomek, but if I can just add on what you're saying, so while you look, I think generally speaking, the software that manage production and just, complex physical products management, they are called product lifecycle management, PLM. So I think
yeah.
my recommendation would be actually to sort of make they're actually depending on where you are. We have small and big companies. There are big PLMs like Siemens, companies, Philips. So you have actually BOM, you have actually, connect. It's actually connected to your CRM, ERP systems. You can make like a huge, actually versioning, etc. But probably what you're saying, there are just smaller versions, right, of those.
Yes, but what I really recommend just at the very beginning is just a Git repository. So you just put the files there, and you know that okay, that's the version number 1, number 2, number 3, and so on. Yeah. So and then inside you have just files. Yeah. So I mentioned this OpenBOM. This is like a really nice software. You can check this. But really at the end, it depends on the scale. Yeah. Yes. You can use this PLM software, which is quite also expensive. Yeah. So. Okay.
Actually, if I can say something more, I would probably make this question, Rasmus. What I will do, actually, I'll read after the webinar if they're just like a PLMs, like a small PLMs for startups, because most of the ones I know are actually either large or this can be like a modules to ERP systems. Yeah, but but
yeah, if you just talk about startups, you really don't overcomplicate it. So I think that to keep the track of the lead time and so on, so you can just use any Gantt chart tool, and for the BOM you can use files and folder with Git repository, and that's it. Yeah.
Excel sheet.
Yeah, also, but it's quite complicated to make the version of the mechanical parts and so on.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
So another question, Tomasz. A lot of startups are getting their products manufactured by EMS remotely. Are they wrong?
I'm not sure if I fully understand the question, because
because you recommend that you should actually go to China, right, and actually be there when the production is done.
Yes, I think it depends on your risk awareness. I know okay. There are companies that I also work with. The company which is called ICAP. They are from France. They have they are like a broker. Let's say, I don't know how to say this. That they cooperate with factories in China, but you communicate directly through them. So they take care about the quality control and everything. Yeah. But if there is any challenge issue on the manufacturing line, then this broker will go to you. Yeah, they'll ask you about how to solve the problem, and then we'll try to answer this question to the factory. And if your product is simple, I don't know, we have few parts, then that's fine. Yeah, but if your product just have like, I don't know, much more parts and it's more complicated, maybe you have some complicated testing or quality control, then I wouldn't recommend to just rely on just giving the design to EMS partner and just forget about this, because you can be it can be really bad situation at the end. Yeah.
Tomasz, I just thought, I don't know what you think about it, but perhaps it's also like a situation. We're talking about startups. I'm not sure about the intent of the question, because I'm not sure if those companies who do it remotely are startups. I understand that startups also think a lot about the cost, right? So the question is actually, maybe you can just take most expensive manufacturers, like you mentioned when we prepare to the webinar, right? The more expensive, they have actually like English speaking staff at everywhere, etc. And sometimes when you want to cut the cost because you are just starting out, you have to actually reduce the cost. And
it also, I'm talking about the full product development. So like with the final assembly, if we are talking about the PCB or PCBA, then the technologies right now, good enough. You can order your products remotely without any problem, and sometimes you will have it almost next day, even from China. And this is not a problem. But if you care about the quality, then at least for the final assembly or maybe the the tools that they will design around injection mold, I will be there and check this, yeah, because later on, all of the small details matters, and the more parts you have, then the bigger problem you will have on the final assembly.
Will this also matter if this is like a first batch or later batch? So I understand that you have this pilot production and preparing all these testers, automated testers. This is
both because this is like a different scale. Because if you do 5 prototypes, this is some scale, and you don't see some things. Yeah? If you manufacture 100, then it's like another scale. But then if you manufacture 1,000 or more, then it's like another problems arise. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you should be, if you repeat this, yeah, like you already manufactured 1,000 pieces and you have exactly the same version or almost exactly the same version, then no problem. You can just rely on the EMS. They already have the procedure in place, but still I will at least do like a quality control. Maybe hire a person, if you are do this remotely, just hire a person on site that will go there and inspect the product and not rely on the manufacturer itself. Yeah. And the result of the inspection, it can cost you, I don't know, a few $100s, and you'll get the result from the inspection from totally independent person. Yeah. So before the product will leave the factory, you can also negotiate an adjustment to this.
Gotcha. All right, next question. Does it make sense to invest in your own PCB assembly? You can place machine, etc.
Well, I think it depends on the scale. Really, I'm not able to answer this question. I think at the prototype phase, it's really nice thing to have. But if you have that kind of assembly, then actually you are creating like a small factory or workshop in your company. Yeah. So the question is, how long this machine will be used over the time. Yeah.
So I think it's a good point, right? So question of scale and actually on demand, etc. Right? Is it like a first product? Or...
Because I also know like a story of one company that they created a product, but they also built that kind of a machine because there was a lot of subsidiaries from EU. And they ended up being the EMS because the product was a failure, but they have the machines, so they start doing the manufacturing. Yeah. So it really depends. I would my approach to that kind of stuff is to outsource as possible. Yeah. So if you are not why do you want to buy that kind of machine? Yeah. So I think this it will make
I think you're breaking up.
Compare it to like yeah. Sorry. Okay.
I think you're just breaking up.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Maybe let's go to another question.
Yes, it's internet tells us that we have to, and we are actually running out of the time. There is one more question. I think it's also related to. I think we did answer it already. So Git also keep track of supply chain management.
Yeah. So this is something that I mentioned. Supply chain management.
I'm not sure. Probably not.
I don't know. Probably not.
Yeah, so this is where PLMs comes in place. Listen, Rasmus, what I'll do this is a super interesting question. The funny thing is that actually I spoke today with a guy who worked for Philips, who actually do like a large scale manufacturing of consumer electronics. And actually this is something that interests me so much that I'm going to investigate PLMs and maybe drop you a note later because it's so interesting, right? Or maybe just leave it as a comment.
Maybe I will add one thing because maybe we can still have maybe room for 1 or 2 questions. But if you like to if you're looking for a help that you like to build a product, audio product, not only manufacturing, but just to understand the market, how to find retailers, distributors, how to do a market test. Then we have a company which is called My 3D Audio Ventures, and you can find an address here. You can contact us. if you like to contact me directly, then you also have my email, my name and surname. So that's my domain. So you can contact me. Okay, so that was the marketing sales part.
Yes.
Do we have any questions to answer?
Yes. Yes. So one last question. Is there any questions from anywhere? India, Denmark, France, Poland? I think we're just perfectly on time. Like a train, I don't know where. All right. Thank you very much, Tomasz. It was like super informative. As usual, I feel like we haven't, there is so much information. We cannot cover it in one webinar, but yes, people know where to find you. Of course, guys, if you need some help, we are here to help you. It was super nice to be
Maybe,
with you.
Sorry, maybe if you have any particular requests that we can dig into one of those topics, because we just touch the surface of the problem. So if you can just send us information, then we can maybe do a webinar about this.
Very much indeed. All right. So with this said, thank you so much. Good night to India. Good. Also good night to France, Denmark. Good afternoon to US. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. It was nice to hear that. See you next time.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.